Welcome back to you guys in our morning show. We're on Unique Not Different. We continue the conversation on living through accessibility and safety in Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unique Not Different with me, Shamla. Today, I have part two that stemmed from part one. Mr. Surindra Basdeo is here to talk about living the gaps, meaning last week we spoke about HSC policies and the gaps that he sees as a HS with his HSC background and having a physical disability. This week he's going to share his experience. So, good morning, Mr. Basdeo. How are you doing?
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers. I am fine this morning. Thank you.
So, Mr. Basdeo, can you tell us a little to give everything in perspective, because we are seeing you sitting, but can you tell us your disability, a little bit of background?
Okay. My disability is paraplegic, right? I'm paralyzed from waist down, right? I am due to an accident where I damaged T12 of my spinal cord. So I cannot walk, and I function from motorized wheelchair.
Okay, great. So your academic background is in HSC, right? So from your own experience, what does it feel like to engage with spaces or systems in Trinidad and Tobago that lack inclusive HSC planning?
Well, it will affect your moral, right? And these things create sometimes it might create fear and anxiety, right? You might feel left out, right? It could have negative impacts on you in terms of your performances, right? When there is not proper system in place that you think that if you have been disregarded, or people does not think there is a need to include you into the system, right? Or it can even lead to that can even lead, because of this anxiety and fear, can even lead to mistakes, right? When you have these things, it does not put you in your comfort zone, right? To work in an environment where you feel that there isn't a proper HSC system, right? That will be it will be just like for somebody with a disability or somebody without a disability. If you're in an environment that is not equipped on the proper HSE system, you will always get the sense of fear and anxiety, and it will affect your performances. It can lead to stress, right? I have experienced that.
Well, that leads to my next question. Can you describe a moment when you felt unsafe or overlooked due to an inaccessible environment or poorly adapted emergency procedure?
Well, it could be embarrassing, right? It could be embarrassing if you're in a environment that does not have does not adapt to to persons with disability, right? And you go into this environment, right? Whether whether you are an employee or a visitor or whatnot, and happen to reach into a place where probably it does not have the adequate facilities for you to um to make you comfortable, right? For example, you want to use a washroom and you reach into an area, right? That is not adequate does not have the adequate facility. You might end up into a situation where you have to leave, right? And come back, go to somewhere where it possibly you could use a washroom or something like that. These things could it will what we do is that if you take time to reach that building and you cannot, or you reach that place, you reach the work and you need to do it does not have the equipped adequate facility. What are you going to do? Are you going to go back home, or are you going to you reach that business place, or and there isn't adequate facility, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave and cancel your appointment and then have to come back another day, which could cause inconvenience and all these type of things? So sometimes you need people need to pay more attention to this, right? They probably could have solutions to that by trying to get people with disabilities quick into the system quick and fast, right? And get them out there as quickly as possible. So if you know you don't have the adequate system in place.
Yeah. So what would a truly safe and accessible space look like to you, in terms of attitude and design?
Well, that I would describe that as you having the physical space and accommodation, right? um, People showing consideration, right, with well-trained staff, knowing what are the needs of persons with disability and how to deal with them, right? And you with putting these physical system, let's talk a little about the physical system. Putting the physical system in place, right? Well, as you enter these places and you see these physical space equipped, right? For persons with disability, right? You'll start to feel comfortable and welcome at the area, right? And then when it comes to person with disability, I always say there is something we have to take into consideration. There is equity and equality, right? And you do not just put things into place, right? Um, because and for equality, you need the equity too. So for example, you do not build a ramp and don't put handrails, right? A perfect space to me, if I would describe, right? One perfect space in particular, right? That I was invited to visit, right? And what I can describe to you as a perfect place in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know if you all if you may be familiar with the LRC building at UWI,
Yeah.
right? And when you enter that building, it has all the technology, right? At the doors when you enter in for the visually impaired, right? It has these sensors that um tell you what location you are at the building. There's a ramp in that building that is designed from top floor to bottom floor for wheelchair users in case of an emergency,
Right.
right? The staff in there when you enter that building, they have the approach of them, the way they embrace you, the way they treat with you, right? These are the types of things you look forward to. So you're looking when you speak of something that are perfectly and adequate, I will say is something like that we are looking forward to, more of that in Trinidad and Tobago.
So what is one thing you wish every HSC officer or employer in Trinidad and Tobago would understand about inclusion?
Um, an inclusive culture, right?
Mm.
And when you say an inclusive culture, we take into consideration the accommodation, right? Addressing discrimination, right? That when you go into our workplace or whatnot, in different areas, workplace as a visitor, as employee, or if you become part of the management team, right? You would like them to be considered, see your ability, not your disability, right? You would like them to have consult with you on your specific needs and try to see if they can meet it, right? I'd just like to draw an example for using the same equity and equality when it comes to being seen as all inclusive, right? We have situations where currently parking was introduced in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Um, that they have made law, right? So you would have that in the workplace. Usually, when you go to the workplace, you'll see there's a particular place, a parking spot for persons with disability, right? Like myself and you, right? We are both wheelchair users, right? And we would have, I would have act as both in three capacity, right? I would have visited place, right? I would have been an employee, right, at where I work, and because I am in the HSC department, right, I would have been part of the management team or the employer's point of view. So from chief perspective, I would have had to look at it, right?
Yeah.
And these parking spot, when we enter it, right, when
Mhm.
rain falling, how do wheelchair users get out of these things?
Yeah.
Right. So you see, yes, we are putting the parking spot in there, right? But we have to take into consideration the needs,
The
right?
different elements, yeah.
How we will take more time. Is that some people with a disability, the different types of disability, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like a hearing impaired might be able to take an umbrella and get out quickly. So you need to take
Right. Yeah.
individually. You need to assess one each
So,
disability.
so basically what you're saying is you're bringing tying it back to equitable, meaning it adapt to different disabilities, right? I know we are out of time, but is that what basically you're saying? Yeah, you adapt the different elements to different types of disability in order to be equitable.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
inclusive.
Perfect. Mr. Basdeo, we have a tight wrap today, but I want to say thank you so much. And this was very enlightening. And to sharing your experience, it I guess it cements everything. So guys, with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this week's segment of Unique and Different. As I always say, be good, do good. Until next week. Bye everyone. Thank you, Mr. Basdeo.